Hi and welcome to my channel and my new detailed how-to tutorial video. This time it's the Edifice EFV-C100. If you are into watch related content, please subscribe, so thank you. Let's get straight to the topic. As I mentioned earlier, this is an Edifice watch model. Characteristic or the main characteristic of this watch is that it has a cool feature, and that is the Telememo. Alongside is the 10-year battery life. Let me get you through the modes of the watch. The main drawback of this watch is like many other Casio models which have a negative style display, and such as this one, they are really hard to read, but I believe you can see it. Nevertheless, let's get through the modes. So pressing the mode button, and it's indicated on the dial of the watch, that's the lower left one, we can shuffle between the modes. So first in a row is the Telememo. Next press of the mode gets us to the world time. Next press is the alarm mode. Pressing it again, we get to the countdown timer. Again to the stopwatch mode and hand setting mode. Pressing it again, higher pitch of the sound gets us back to the standard timekeeping mode. You can even shuffle between the AM or PM in time over here, and that's done by pressing the adjust button. This is actually the screen representation. You can shuffle between Tuesday or seconds, and the time remains the same. So pressing the lower right button shuffles between the AM or PM. So the P is indicated on the just above. I believe you can see it now. It's a small P right over here, indicated that we are in the PM region, and the time is in the 12-hour time format. Setting the timer date on the EFV-C100. From the standard timekeeping mode, press and hold the upper left button, that's the adjust button, until you hear the beep. And the seconds should start flashing, and they are. Now you cannot set the exact value of seconds, but what you can do is reset that value by pressing the lower right button, and it will reset them to 0 if you want. Next press of the mode button gets us to setting the DST or the daylight saving time mode. Currently in my time zone, the DST is turned off, and we can see it over here. But you can shuffle it between on or off by pressing the lower right button, that's the set button. So on or off. Next press of the mode button, we get to the setting the hour value, and we can see over here that the 23 is flashing. To rotate the hour value, press each one of those two buttons, so set minus and set plus, so upper and lower right one, and you can shift between the values of hours. I'm gonna leave it at 23. Next press of the mode button moves the flashing to minutes, and currently we see that the 44 is flashing, but to increase or decrease that value you can press the upper or lower button. Next press of the mode button gets us to setting the year value, and the year is 2021, but you can increase or decrease that value by pressing the upper right one or the lower right one. So each press of the button shuffles the year value in increments of 1. Next press of the mode button gets us to setting the month value, and we can see that 1 is flashing on this circular digital subdial, and you can increase or decrease by pressing the set minus or set plus. So set minus or set plus. Next press of the mode button gets us to day setting, and we see that the 12 is flashing, and you can rotate it by pressing the upper or lower right button. Pressing the mode button once again, we get back to the beginning and setting the seconds value. So basically we have run through the cycle of setting the time and date. To validate those settings or to implement them, simply press the upper left button, that's the adjust button, once, and we are back to the standard timekeeping mode, and the watch is displaying the time we have just set. World time mode. First let's enter the world time mode, and that's done by pressing the mode button once, twice, and we enter the world time mode. World time digitally displays the current time in 30 cities around the world or 29 time zones around the world. Now, the time setting of the standard timekeeping mode and the world time mode are independent of each other, so you must make separate settings for each one of those. Over here we have our city code, and currently it's showing Berlin, and this is the current time for the selected city code, so it's showing the 12:44. To rotate between those time zones or cities, simply press the lower right button, and I'm shuffling between the cities. Let's say I want to get back to Berlin. I'm going to have to make a full circle. Paris, Berlin, and here we are. Now, we can set the DST for that time zone or the world time mode for that city by pressing and holding the upper left button, that's the adjust button, until you hear the beep, and we can see that the daylight saving time mode in this time zone is currently turned off. We can shuffle between on or off by pressing the lower right button, that's the button with Edifice logo. Pressing the mode button whilst we are in the settings mode for the world time mode, we move the shuffling or setting to the hour value. Now you can set the value of hours by pressing one of those two buttons. Pressing the mode button once again, flashing moves to the minutes value, and you can set that minutes value by pressing the upper or lower right button. Once you're done with the settings, simply press the adjust button, and the watch will implement all of those settings for your secondary time zone or world time mode. Those will be the basics of the world time mode on this watch. Using the alarm or the alarm mode on this watch, first of all, let's get through the alarm mode, and that's done by pressing the mode button from the standard timekeeping mode. So pressing it once, twice, 3 times, and we enter the alarm mode. Shuffling between the alarms is done by pressing the lower right button, and you can see I'm shuffling between 1, 2 hourly time signal and snooze alarm, so 3 alarms and the hourly time signal. To turn individual alarm, simply press the adjust button while you are on that alarm. So pressing the button up top, as you can see, AL1 is indicated or lit up on the bottom screen. So pressing it again turns it off. Pressing the mode button, I'm shifted to alarm number 2, and pressing the adjust button whilst in that alarm, alarm 2 turns on. How to turn on the hourly time signal? Well, let's get to hourly time signal. That's done by pressing this button over here, so the Edifice button, and pressing the adjust button. I'm turning the hourly time signal, and you can see that the alarm is turned, hourly time signal is turned on with this SIG indicated on this subdial. Turning it off, pressing the upper left button. Now, let me show you how to set the alarm value. Let's get to, let's say, alarm number 1. Press and hold the upper left button, that's the adjust button, until hours start to flash. And as you can see, my alarm is automatically turned on. So the hour value is currently flashing. To increase or decrease that value of the alarm, press the upper or lower button to shuffle between the values. I'm going to leave it at 6. Pressing the mode button, the flashing moves to the minutes value. How to increase or decrease that value? Well, by pressing the upper or lower button, I can increase or decrease that value. I want to leave it at 6:30. Once I'm done, simply pressing the adjust button once, the alarm is set and it's automatically turned on, and you can see it over here. It says AL1, which means that the alarm number 1 is indicated. Again, just for the demonstration purposes, how to turn it off, simply press the upper left button, and now our alarm number 1 is turned off. Those will be the basics of the hourly time signal and alarm mode on this watch. Using the countdown timer, the countdown timer can be set within a range of 1 minute to 24 hours. An alarm sounds when the countdown timer reaches 0. So let's get to the countdown timer mode from the standard timekeeping mode by pressing the mode button once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and we enter the countdown timer mode. How to set the time to be counted down. So currently we have a row of zeros, and let me get that set. So pressing and holding the upper left button until you hear the beep, and we have our settings engaged. So currently we are setting the hour values, and I can increase or decrease that value by pressing the set minus or set plus button. So one of those two buttons I'm pressing to increase or decrease that value. Once I've set my hour value, I'm gonna press the mode button, and the flashing moves to the minutes value. Pressing the one of those two buttons, so upper or lower one, will set my countdown time. Let's say I want it at 10 minutes. Once I'm done, I'm gonna simply press the upper left button, that's the adjust button, to implement all of my settings. How to use that countdown timer? So once we have set our time, I'm gonna press the lower right button to engage my countdown time. Pressing the same button stops it. Pressing it again engages it, stops it, and resetting is done by pressing the adjust button. Those would be the basics of the countdown timer mode on this watch. How to use the stopwatch? The stopwatch lets you measure the elapsed time, split times, and two finishes. The display range of the stopwatch is 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 59.99 seconds. The stopwatch continues to run, restarting from 0 after it reaches its limit. The stopwatch measurement operation continues even if you exit the stopwatch mode. So let's get to the stopwatch mode by pressing the mode button once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, so 5 times is the stopwatch mode. So briefly you saw the STW indicated over here, which means that we are in the stopwatch mode. So first two row of zeros, or the first two zeros, are the seconds. These are the 1/100th of a second, and these are hours, the first zero, and the minutes, the second two zeros. How to measure the elapsed time on this watch? Well, by pressing the lower right button to start it, pressing the same button to stop it, again same button to resume it, stop it, same button, and reset that value by pressing the upper left button. How to measure the split time? First, let's start it by pressing the lower right button. Press the adjust button to split it. Upper left to split release. Lower right one to stop it. And upper left one to reset that value. How to measure the two finishes? Press the lower right button to start it. Upper left button split. First runner finishes, display time of the first runner. Press the lower right button to stop it. Second runner finishes. Upper left one, split release, display time of the second runner. And upper left one to reset the stopwatch to 0. Those are the basics of the stopwatch and how to use the stopwatch on this watch. Watch hands adjustment, or setting the or adjusting the analog time. Well, let's get straight to the point. From the standard timekeeping mode, press the mode button 6 times until we enter the HS over here. You saw it briefly indicated over here, HS, which means that we are in the mode of setting our hands. Now the next step would be to hold down the upper left button until the watch beeps and our digital time starts to flash. Now the basic principle of this watch is to synchronize your analog time with your digital time. So the hands on this watch should be correct with the time indicated on the digital subdial. And as you can see, my time is correct, and it's showing the correct time, both analog and digital time. So these two times are synchronized. Now, if you need to advance the analog time a long way, press the upper and lower button at the same time, and it will engage the fast rotation of your hands. So it will fast rotate this one hand, and the hour hand will just follow the minute hand. But you can adjust your time in increments. So you can adjust your analog time in increments by pressing the lower right button just once, and it will move your advance the analog time setting by 20 seconds. So there's no need for me to do that, but you get the principle. So let me get you just one more time for you to have it straight. So to to have your time and digital time correspond with your analog time. If it's not, press the lower right button once to advance the analog time for 20 seconds, and if it needs to be changed much more, press and hold these two buttons, and it will engage the fast rotation of minute hand, and the hour hand will follow the minute hand in its adjustment. Once your hands are set the way you want, simply press the upper left button and the watch will implement those settings. Telememo mode, or the Telememo function, well, it's pretty outdated function for the standard watches today, since we have our mobile phones and they can store much more. But I believe it's one of the key features of this watch, amongst the 10-year battery life for this model. So Telememo lets you store up to 30 records, each contain name and telephone number data. Records are automatically sorted based on the characters of the name. You can recall records by scrolling through them on the display. A Telememo mode, a record has a name field and a number field. Let's get to the Telememo mode. So pressing the mode button once from the standard timekeeping mode, and the Telememo mode is first in a row. So as we can see, this watch has not got stored any Telememo modes. But if it did, the name would be appeared over here, and a number would be appearing here also. Let's try and store some information in our Telememo mode. So pressing and holding these two buttons at the same time will display the new data screen. So currently we see that there's no information, but we are now in the process of entering the new data or memory. So pressing and holding the upper left button until the cursor flashes, and here we have it. So the first one is flashing. Pressing the lower right button, I'm shuffling between the symbols. So I'm saying, let's say, I don't know, find some letter. Once I'm done with my first letter, I'm gonna press the mode button and the flashing will start to go to the next character. Again, pressing the same button, I'm gonna run through the characters, pressing the mode button to the third character, and just remember that the name has a space for 8 characters, but the number has the space for 16 characters. So pressing the mode button, let's say my name or my contact has 3 letters, RLD, so my contact name is RLD. I'm gonna press the mode button until I get to the setting the phone value. Remember that the phone value is differentiated from the name value by this line over here. When it becomes smaller, that means we are in the process of setting the phone number, and here it is. It's much less wide. It's less wider than the phone than the name character, and I'm gonna press this button over here to set the number. But if my first number is 1, I'm gonna press the mode button to enter the second number, pressing the mode button, pressing the lower right button for the next character, pressing the mode button once again to my third character or third number, and it goes so on. So basically you can set any number or the any name in this watch. How to store the data? Well, once I'm done with my settings, I'm just gonna simply press the adjust button once, and my number is stored. Over here you have your record number indicated. This is the name, and I can shuffle to the remaining memory by pressing the so this shuffles to the what's my number for this contact. So RLD, my contact is 128. How to delete this particular character? So we are in the Telememo mode. We have our character or our name indicated over here, and this is our phone number of that contact. So RLD stands for 128. Now, how to do that? Well, by pressing and holding the upper left button until you hear the beep, and then holding these two buttons at the same time, CLR appears and our contact has been deleted. Pressing the adjust button returns us to beginning, so we have cleared our memory from our watch. So those will be the basics of a Telememo mode. That would be another detailed how-to tutorial video on my channel. This time it was the Edifice EFV-C100. Thank you very much for watching, and if you are into watch related content, please subscribe to my channel. So thank you.